Well, here we are, Sally The Teenage Westie and I, just starting our walk around Kingscross, and we're standing at the moment in a little forest, and it's raining quite heavily. There's a path that goes through the forest down from the stables at Kingscross to Kingscross Point, and we're just taking a walk through that. Oh, bird there. I don't know if you can hear the rain in the trees here. Oh, another bird moving there, just flapping its wings. So here we're just emerging out of the forest now onto the kind of grassy plain, and going down towards the Viking fort, across the kind of wide open expanse of grass here. And I've just finished work at Calmac, so it's nearly 7 o'clock just now in the evening, and it's dusk, and I'm walking downhill towards the fort with Sally The Teenage Westie just plodding along beside me. And she's got her little Gore-Tex jacket on, a tartan jacket with a Velcro strap, and we keep that for when it's either very rainy or very cold. In this case it's just very rainy because it's nice and mild. At this time of year that's the way it usually works. If you get the rain, you get the cloud, and it doesn't get too cold, so that's the only good thing about it really. We're not cold, we're just wet, and it doesn't really matter being wet very much if you're not cold. It's really in the mind. It's the same as when I go running. It kind of puts you off going out the door or looking at the rain out the window. I don't fancy it. And actually when you get going, it's fine. You warm up. It didn't really matter that it was raining. So that's where I am with Sally in my head. I'm determined that it's not going to matter that it's raining, because we're out in it, in inverted commas, enjoying ourselves. So we're about halfway across the grass now from the wee foresty bit, down towards the bench that you can sit on right before you get to the Viking fort. And the bench is placed there deliberately because it has a wonderful view right the way, a panoramic view right the way from Kingscross. You can see the whole point across to Calmac, 4 miles away, all the way to the mainland, past Calmac, and then there's the whole of Holy Isle dominating the view from there, and on the other side of Holy Isle, the mainland as well. And if you look quite carefully, you can just catch a wee bit of Whiting Bay in the distance as well. Come on, Sally. Here she comes. So the reason we're out when it's just dusk is because I thought, well, I'll get Sally out before it gets dark, because Sally's quite an old dog. She's 16 and her eyesight's not that great. In fact, she had cataracts even when I first got her when she was 12. Maybe she's running. Oh, there might be run with Sally. Here we go. She's trotting along beside me at full steam, so that's me. I'm going to run alongside her. Oh, stop now. Okay. Got to a little uphill bit there, so we'll slow down, I think. See if I can get her going again. Right, let's go, Sally. Here she comes. Oh, she's going fast this time. Well, it's great to see Sally sprinting about like this because being that she's 16, I'm still running by the way. Right, that's us at the bench now. That was unexpected. I didn't encourage that at all. It's great to see her running because of course that means she's feeling fine, she's feeling frisky, she's got her energy, and to be honest, when you're 16 years old in dog years, that's a serious achievement, to have the desire to run just because you feel happy when nobody's making you do it. Right, we're right beside the bench now. She's just behind me. So it's just encouraging to see. I always figure if you've still got more than one gear left in your gearbox, as long as you're not just got first gear left, you'll be okay. And Sally's got all of her gears, I think, maybe apart from overdrive. That's for people who are still in old currency like me. There used to be overdrive in cars. That was your long extra kind of bonus gear. Nowadays they've got 6 gears as standard, I think, pretty much cars, haven't they? And so no overdrives anymore. Right, so I'm going down the very small path now from the bench up to where we climb up to where the fort is. There's a little steep bit here, which I'm going to have to lift Sally up. And on my right is the sea. I don't know if you can hear it. I'll try anyway. It's a little bit windy tonight. It's been windy for a few days, but not stormy. The ferries managed quite well actually. They were predicting gales, but almost every sailing's gone ahead, so that's pretty good. Right. Now I'm walking up towards the fort and I'm carrying Sally, which isn't altogether very easy. Oh, just step up this wee bit here. There we go. She's not a lightweight. Right, that's me up at the top. And again, that's a nice thing to see as well, because put her back down there. A chubby dog is a happy dog. Oh Sally, what are you doing there? Flopping about. There we go. That's you. Okay. Alright. Yeah, because she lost a bit of weight for a while. About 5 months ago and wasn't eating very well, and now she's back to herself again, so it's nice to see her chubby. Right, I'm at the Viking fort now. The sea's quite noisy on my right, because that's the part that goes all the way over, that's the exposed part, all the way over to the mainland. And I'll just steer Sally up to the top here. But on the left it's very calm, because that's protected by the I'll lift Sally up this little bit here as well. There we go. Okay. So on my left I can't see the lash at all, because the rain's so heavy. It's quite heavy rain. The clouds are so low, it's completely obscured Lamlash, and I quite like that. So all I can see out that way is a big boat, just to the side of the fish farm, to the right hand side of the fish farm. Big ship. And then I've got the Holy Hell in front of me, and that's all in darkness, apart from, put my hood back up here, apart from one light in one of the houses beside the lighthouse, and the lighthouse itself, of course, which is flashing green. And then in front of that, halfway in the middle of the water between me and the lighthouse is a little buoy with a red flashing light on it. And that's everything that I can see there, apart from the landmass of the Holy Isle, that indicates life of any description. Sally's stopped here, so I'll just lift her again. We're on the kind of descent down from the fort here, and it's rainy and it's been slippy, and also her eyesight isn't just as good as it was, so being that it's dusk, she can't see just as well as she would if it was full daylight. But she can still see a lot better than she would if it was dark, and that's the main thing. We got out before it got dark, so even if we're getting rained on, at least it's not pitch black, because I always feel it's okay to take her out when it's dark, but I'd rather take her out when it's daylight. Come on, Sally, you coming? She's standing behind me. Got another wee bit to get down here. I think what I'll do, I'll just carry her all the way back down to the grass. That's what I'll do. Okay. So there's a small path down from the Viking fort. Goes past a gun placement thing. Like, there used to be a gun there, or this bit of the path's quite steep and stony, so I've got to be careful going down here. And I can't see that well, to be honest, now on this little bit, because the bushes on each side of me are quite tall and taking some of the light away. There we go, pretty much down now. Just put it down, we get to this grassy bit here. Hear the puddles there? Right, okay, she's down. Take my hood back off. Yeah, so there's nobody else down here apart from us. And sometimes, on the odd occasion, I've come down when it's pitch black. I'll take a torch and we kind of wander about. And I've even come down a couple of times, or several times actually, with a guitar. Because at Kingscross Point, you can get very close to where the lighthouse is on the Holy Isle. It's not quite a stone's throw, but it's maybe 4 stone's throws, if that's an actual measure of distance. Yeah. What's a stone's throw? Well, I guess that one. I think I could probably throw a stone as far as Usain Bolt can run in 9 3/4 seconds. Yeah, I could probably do that. Someone say it's about 100 metres. A stone's throw for me. I'm not bad at throwing stones. Used to be quite good at school. But of course it could be different for somebody else. I've met some people when I was a kid, just couldn't throw stones at all. A bit embarrassing. I was actually the second best stone thrower of my group of friends. I even remember that now. I'm 57. Isn't it great how you can still hark back to your childhood and be a little bit proud of something that's completely meaningless, even to yourself, and utterly unknown to everybody else. And yet there it is. There was only one person that could throw stones a little bit further than me, and yet that kind of, you just throw it and then it would just kind of flick the wrist around and it would go like a little catapult just at the end. He could beat me. Anyway, I've just gone past the bench at the bottom of the Kingscross path bit down from the fort, and I'm right at the water side now, and amazingly, being that I was just up at the fort and I couldn't see anything across the water, I can now see all of the lights in Lumlash, just like that. So And the funny thing for me is this. I very much enjoy the seclusion of being on your own, of having peace and quiet, and being, feeling like you've got, a place all to yourself. So although I like company, it's nice to feel that you're somewhere very quiet and undisturbed, and you're lucky. So seeing the lights far away like that really shouldn't appeal, because all it is bringing the busyness of life somewhere else to where I am. Yeah? And logically, what I should want to see is exactly what I saw up the top of the hill there, the wee mound. Nothing apart from just nature and no lights. And yet here I am looking at them twinkling across and reflecting off the water, especially the ones on that big boat I was talking about, because they're quite bright, and that's much closer than the Lash is. And of course they look beautiful, don't they? You've got the whole of the bay of the Lash there with the lights shining back at me and that boat, and then the kind of blackness of the hills behind it, silhouetting against the sky, and it goes all the way down to Cloughlands, and then to the mainland beyond. And now I can see the lights on the mainland beyond as well, quite brightly. So it's just completely changed in that time. And that's what happens when it's windy, of course. The weather will change very quickly. And that's just what's happened to me. So yeah, I really like the lights. It doesn't make any sense. But I do find that they're beautiful. And I always have. Even as a kid in Glasgow, when I didn't know what I liked and what I wanted to do or who I was, if I know now, I would take our little dog to the top of the highest hill in the area, the only hill where I'd get a view of all the lights, in the west end of Glasgow where I grew up, and just enjoy taking in, that vista, all lit up at night. I don't remember going there when it was daytime. So it's something about night time and the light shining back at you. It's just very attractive. Sally's still walking behind me fine. There we go. So we've come back across another big open grassy bit. And for anybody who's familiar with this area, I'm just coming to that massive triangular sign. I'm not quite sure what it does. It's like 15-20 foot high at the water's side, and another sign says private, no camping. Although to be honest, I haven't seen anybody camping down here for a very long time. Maybe that sign worked. But it's such a massive area. I don't suppose they'd even see that sign probably, but I never really see anybody camping. So yeah, it's like I was saying, sometimes I come down here and I bring the guitar, and on a really still night, I'll sing and play songs to the nuns who live in the houses beside the lighthouse, because from what I'm told, in fact I believe it's true, they've taken a vow of silence in the ones that live in those houses, and they just like pray and do all the kind of religious things, but don't say anything. So also they don't have any relationships and things. So I figure they can't jeer me. They can't even make so much noise they can drown me out. So the only thing they can do is listen. So I've got a captive audience, and Sally's gone a wee bit behind now. She's sniffing about. And also I am the only male voice, I suppose, or male at all anywhere around, since it's all women in there and they're all silent. So I'd bring the guitar down on the odd occasion and really blast out mostly Tom Jones songs, as it happens. And the guitar has got a built-in battery amp which I can turn up, so I can make the guitar quite loud. and I can also make my voice quite loud. And I know they can hear over there what I'm doing when it's still. I'm loud enough for that. I just don't know if they actually do, you know, hear me or listen or even care. Maybe it's a big interruption, you know. What do they think when I'm singing Tom Jones mostly at them? Of course I don't know, I've just got to guess. I would like to know. They couldn't tell me even if I met them because they can't say anything. So for better or worse, I'll never get any feedback on my performances there, which is probably just as well. Because you get the odd dodgy note. And that's where Sally's the perfect companion, of course, because she's almost entirely deaf. I'm not quite sure if she's completely deaf or not. I think she can maybe hear a little bit, like if it right in her ear. So she can maybe just make out my singing and guitar playing if it's very loud, but certainly not enough to annoy her. And I do make a point of telling her how much I love her, right in her ear, odd occasions every day. And I think she hears me. But she certainly seems very happy in any case. I think what we'll do, and it stopped raining now, so this is going to be the Velcro sound here. Oh, Sally, is that giving a wee cough? There's the Velcro. Okay, off comes our Gore-Tex jacket. Got that under my arm. And now we're going across the last kind of big grassy bit at Kingscross, which has got 2 or 3 benches sitting at it and a big green kind of hut and a shortcut that goes from the road at Kingscross down a wee track down to where we are. And that's where Sally and I are going to go back up just in a minute. Here she comes, just waiting for her there. She's a little bit slow. I don't know if you can hear the lapping of the water here. So when we first started, the sea was quite kind of noisy and windy, and it was rainy of course, but now very quiet, and the water is maybe 30 yards from where I am. So that's I'm going meters or yards, so I'm still in yards, so that gives my age away anyway, isn't it? So that's about 3/10 of a stone's throw. That's where the water is from here, just now, which isn't very far, and it's getting quite dark now. I think if we go back in the forest, we'll probably not see where we are. So what I'll do, have a look and see. Nope, didn't bring a torch. Okay, so we'll have to go the long way back, I think. Just so we can make sure we don't see. It's amazing how fast the dark comes in, isn't it? When we started out, it was quite bright, and now it's quite dark. We're going to do that. So we're going to make this walk a bit longer than I intended, but that's just because if I take the route back that goes past the big house with all the extensions, again, if you're familiar with this area, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a much wider path, and it's mostly goes up a big track that you can drive up. So I think we're going to go that way. I'll just keep Sally moving here because she's kind of stopped altogether. Come on, wee dog. There we go. Okay. So that's us finished with the grassy bit. Sally's in front of me now. And going back into the darkness, a little bit of forest, going towards that house with with all the extensions on it. So it's like a house, and then it's been extended and extended again, and another extensions on extensions. So it's ended up being a massive house, where it was not a big house in the first place, but it must have maybe, I don't know, 4 big extensions on the house. So it's like a whole row of different add-ons. But what a wonderful place to be. A big garden, the sea and the holy owl all the way in front of the garden. That's all you can see, one side to the other of the holy owl, and nothing to disturb you apart from the odd idiot with an old dog and possibly sounding like Tom Jones on the odd occasion. There's the wind in the trees above me. We're very sheltered down here because we've got bushes on each side and we're down at the shore, but I can see the trees blowing about up on the left, which is where we're going to be going, up through that foresty bit, and it is windy, but not in the bay, just up in the trees. It's gone beautiful now out there, very clear. I can see all the individual houses. A couple of car lights moving about. There's one coming along the main road between Lumlash and Brodick. And I can hear things now as well. I can hear the engines of the boat. And where's Sally? Sally's coming back a bit more. This only thing, I've got to watch out with Sally because she's so good at just following me around, but of course she can't hear anything really. I can't call her. And yeah, she's my dog. Good dog. And in the dark, of course, she can't see that far, because she can't see very far anyway, even in the daylight, but especially at night. She's somewhat limited, so I've got to be very careful at all times to keep her beside me. God forbid we ever got parted from one another, but I don't keep her on the lead, because she's earned her freedom off the lead with her behaviour, which is impeccable, to be honest. Westies are tough dogs, and they're bred to be tough dogs. They're meant to be hunting dogs. They're a 300-year-old breed that were designed to hunt small animals, and they're white so they can be seen from far away, and they're fearless, and they've got a loud bark, and the loud bark, which I only found out recently, is because they are so fearless. They'll go down a hole, they'll go down burrows and things when they're hunting, and they'll actually get stuck underground, and the loud bark is to make sure you know where they are at all times, in particular in case you have to dig them back out. So this is the thing about terriers, you've got to admire their fearlessness. Westies are the small dogs that think they're big dogs.